Oh, it's that familiar sound, little house music here, not the call to the post, at least as of 11:30 a.m. on this Wednesday, November 7th, as Ron Nicoletti and Jason Blewett catch up with you here. And that music brings us into a new week, my friend, a new 5-day week here at Gulfstream Park West. And those Mondays and Tuesdays go by fast, and we've got, I guess, life after the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, you know, we got a good weekend coming up here with the $600,000 in stakes on Saturday. We'll tell you about that throughout the week. And we actually got a Rainbow Six carryover today, and we got our 8-race card this afternoon.
Indeed we do. A nice abbreviated 8-race Wednesday program, and we are quickly approaching the 30th day of the meet. By my count, today is day number 27 of 40, so we are well over the hump, as they say, and we're inching ever so close with each passing day to that opening card Saturday, December 1st over at Gulfstream Park. And that is kind of the subject as to where we'll start today. Believe it or not, 80 days, and they will go quickly. We are just 80 days out from the third running of the Pegasus. Now a $9 million purse, and I thought we'd have a little fun maybe putting out a very informal poll. Yesterday was all about the polls and people voting and this and that, so here's another poll, and you can hop online and whether you're following myself, Gulfstream Park, Pegasus World Cup, this poll is pretty easy to find on Twitter. Now, I meant when I said if the race was this weekend, not who do you think would you know, really go nuts and really run big on a 6-day turnaround. It was more or less, who do you like now? If the Pegasus was coming up in just a few days, Ronnie, who of these Grade 1 winners between, of course, the horse that won the Breeders' Cup Classic, Accelerate, Monomoy Girl, then you got City of Light, the Dirt Mile winner, and of course, last year's Florida Derby winner, Audible. If you had to make a pick now, who do you like the most?
Well, you would think Accelerate is the way to go, but I'm thinking I'm going to go with the horse for course play in there, Audible, right now, because that one's at 25%. So it sounds like a pretty good wager for me if it was to happen right now. And it's going to be a fun race. There's other horses that are going to be involved in that. But a good poll. I would go with Audible now if I had to.
All right, fair enough.
Make a choice.
Sure. Accelerate, of course, will be making the final start of his illustrious career in the January 26th $9 million Pegasus World Cup on dirt. Little surprised with how much he's run away with the poll. And as of now, there's about 1,000 votes in. So we'll have the results tomorrow here on the Thursday edition of Gulfstream West Today. And clearly coming your way over the next 2.5 months, give or take, there will be plenty of Pegasus talk, both for the dirt race and the newly minted turf affair. But what about the money, dude? I mean, you know, who we like and all that stuff is great, but we're in this game to win some dough, and it's about the gambling, even though we do love the horses. And as far as, well, carryover central, we got a couple of key 4- and 5-figure carryovers coming your way, including that super high 5 at over $1,600 with that 7-horse field in the first race. In fact, we'll have 2-year-old fillies in the opener going a very demanding 1-mile distance for that field, and then 20,000, give or take, my friend, in the Rainbow Six.
Yeah, just approaching $21,000 in the Rainbow Six. That's races 3 through 8 this afternoon. We got our final pick 5 coming right after that, and that beauty of that, it's only that 50-cent wager.
Definitely, and a pretty good 6th and 7th race today. The 7th is the technical feature, and Bel Tapissieri has been unbelievable. He was very good last winter, and he's come back. He hasn't missed a beat in 2 races off the layoff. He might be the star player on today's card if he could take another step forward.
He's got to take that step forward today. I put him on top of that. You know, it's hard to put those many wins or, you know, good performances together in a row, but we'll see how that plays out. A very nice race to handicap, and of course, that's part of the Rainbow Six and the late pick 5.
Indeed it is, my friend. So let's move on to the early pick 5, and it's good being back on the turf this afternoon. We are indeed fast and firm. Now, speaking of turf, we're not on the grass until race number 4. That will be the turf opener on this November 7th here at GPW. On the main for the first 3 races, to me, the first race on the card and the first race of the week, it really comes down to who can stay this trip on the dirt. A 2-turn mile for most of these is very much uncharted territory. It's a race predominantly filled with dirt sprinters trying to go long. Second race is Vincero's to lose on paper, and I'll tell you, as I work my way through this card again, Ronnie, Saffie Joseph Jr. could have himself a pretty big day here. He's got a lot of live horses.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good horses running today, and one of those being playing Vincero in there. I got that one on the top of the ticket, but I got a little bit of a cautionary stat I'll show you when we get to that race.
Sounds good. Field of 8 in the third. One of those fillies with Peace and Love, will walk away with a shiny new maiden diploma. That's a pretty soft 10K maiden claimer. Someone's going to cross the finish line first. I have my eye on a trainer change and just the stab from one good barn to another in the 2 draft in the 4th race, but that is a wide open first turf race on the card. And let's wrap things up, Ronnie, with the 5th race. I see quite a bit of speed in that race, and I still have a thing for Blind Ruckus, the number 7, who I look down and, oh, you don't have him first through third, man. What's going on?
Well, we'll see how that race plays out a little later on. But you know what? It's good. It makes it more interesting to see if you can, and I have the ability watching to see plays out. Maybe I'll add it to my late pick 5 ticket.
I think you should, my friend. I think he's going to get a fast pace to close into. But anyway, pace is definitely a part of the sort of main nuggets, if you will, coming up on the Wednesday opener. This first race at about 12:30, 12:35 is a 2-year-old filly, 16K claiming race. Okay, that's fine and good. What really makes this one interesting and perhaps trickier than it might be per se over at Gulfstream Park is this race will go at a mile around 2 turns on the dirt.
Yeah, the current even money favorite early in the wagering is the One American Jack, who's stepping up to face his win his first start since Drew Clear. That defeated those 25 maidens at Gulfstream. Really was impressive that day. Almost won that run by almost 6 lengths. It's Gilberta Zerpa. Now, as you mentioned, you got to stretch out to the mile today. That's the unknown in there.
Is she coming out, again, with all due respect, perhaps the slowest win or one of the slower wins you've ever seen on this circuit with a buyer of 15?
Yeah, buyer 15. It's hard to believe that I saw that and I kept going back. I just respect the connection so much that I'm going to pass on the buyer now and think this horse is going to handle it. And Country Girl, Cheryl, the one you have in top, stretching out today. Maiden victory at 5 furlongs, finishes third, going 3/4. Again, the same theme. Got to prove it can handle the 2 turns.
Absolutely. I like her thinking perhaps she is the speed of the speed, and she's going to be in the driver's seat along with J.J. Gonzalez, who's got the advantage, if you will, breaking outside the number 1 American Jack, perhaps her biggest pace rival. Moving on to the second, we don't have to move the starting gate, or they can move it, let the horses go by, and then put it right back into place, because we do indeed stay at this 2-turn dirt mile coming up on this 3-and-up $30,000 to $25,000 claimer. And Vincero, it's his race to toss away and to throw away on paper. And here he is last time out, winning off the claim for trainer Saffie Joseph Jr. And he had a good trip in this one beneath jockey Edgar Zayas and just ran really well considering he hadn't run in about 7 weeks. And I had a hard time coming up with the scenario where he might get beat today, because he's basically almost to the extent facing the exact same field. He beat 4 of these horses, or 3 of these horses, in the race that he's coming out of back on October 18th, and he was able to do it shipping back over to Gulfstream Park West.
You know, that was going 7 furlongs, so the unknown is how he'll handle this 2-turn. Saffie Joseph Jr., when the race is over, there you see that number 3 winning the race there. Saffie Joseph Jr. with horses going from a sprint to route claimers on the dirt. He's 3 for 19, 16%, 63% of the time he's in the money with that 88-cent return on investment. And Saffie Joseph Jr., the reason I said it was a little bit cautionary, usually his numbers jump off the page at you. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, because you make a great point. Vincero already beat these horses basically in there. But I did use the number 1 Animus in second, who's dropping to this level on the main track, faced better on the turf. In the bluegrass state, it's Dane Kabisky. He's solid. He's about 19% with the turf to dirt move, and that's what sold me on that number 1 horse.
All right, good trainer, good rider as well, and Amisael Jaramillo. And perhaps the X-Factor wild card is the 3 Fortune Cookie, who you've got third. I've obviously got second behind the clear favorite with leading rider Edgar Zayas and Vincero. Which Fortune Cookie do we get, though? Almost a Jekyll and Hyde type horse, looking at his last race, which was really sort of the opposite of how he had run previously for Bobby DeBona.
Well, he's dropping. I think today's going to help in a competitive spot. He returned from that 5-month layoff. He broke slowly. He failed to reel in the horse we were talking about at the top of the show. Bel Tapissieri was going to be the favorite in race number 7 today. So a good spot for the horse. What I liked about him, and put him on a ticket, and glad you see you got it in second. 3 starts in a mile, a win in 2 seconds.
And your fortune says, and maybe yours perhaps, says there's a lot more GPW today coming your way after this quick time out here, so stay with us.
whether you're at home or at the track. Have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
The Fall Turf Festival is underway at Gulfstream Park West. Mark your calendars because on Saturday, November 10th, Gulfstream will be offering 8 stakes for Florida breds, 3 on the turf, totaling $600,000. There will be 4 races for 2-year-olds, many with aspirations of competing in the winter and spring classics. Don't forget, you can watch and wager on Gulfstream Park West races in our world-class Silks Simulcast Center, located on the first floor at beautiful Gulfstream Park. Join us at Gulfstream Park and Gulfstream Park West on Saturday, November 10th.
That's right, just a couple of days away. They'll draw that Wednesday card, a star-studded Saturday program in just a few hours here or over at Gulfstream Park, and we will bring on the stakes in a major way this coming Saturday for that Sunshine Millions preview day, which is always a good one.
Yeah, it looks like that star will be Mr. Jordan, who always runs exceptionally well right here at Gulfstream Park West. But we're going to need money to bet that, so let's take a look at my Rainbow Six ticket this afternoon. $28.80. I was lucky enough to hit it Sunday. Didn't pay very much, but it was a lot of big chalk on Sunday. See what it's going to be like today. I went 3 deep in here with Vita Tropical, Divine Diva, and Lady Player on top of my ticket. Then you go down to race number 8, and I think this is going to be a lot of people's singles. That's the number 7 Blue Loot. Breaks
in the 6th, yeah.
In the 6th, excuse me, breaks its maiden, and just, at Kentucky Downs, and comes back and wins the starter allowance at Keeneland for Mike Maker, jumps off the page. 4 deep in the last, didn't know what to do. That's a wide open affair. So $28.80 to me, but I need Blue Loot to run well in race number 6.
You and a lot of people. That horse, I think, is going to be an odds-on favorite. Every sense of the phrase there for Top Connections, and strikes me a real parallel with a horse who won here Sunday, beating what we thought and I think was proved throughout the day as a pretty strong inside bias on Sunday's card, a horse for Mike Maker by the name of Race Me Home, who got a 94 buyer, and you would think really punched his way to that Saturday, December 1st claiming crown over at Gulfstream Park. So a popular distance today and a popular surface. We don't switch things up getting to the opening leg of the Rainbow Six. Mile on the main, 2 turns. We got some filly mare $10,000 maiden claimers, and very much, at least realistically speaking off paper, a 3-horse affair between the 0 for 15 Divine Diva, the 3, the 0 for 7, the number 6 Lady Player, and the more lighter raced of the pair, or of the trio in this case, the number 7, our top pick, Vita Tropical.
Yeah, stretching out to a mile. Blinkers added this afternoon. Chase the Pace finished 4th against this level, going 3/4. I think this daughter of Oxbow is going to be mixing it up early. I think that's why they're adding the blinkers. I think this one might have a tactical advantage. Divine Diva, a good second at this level and distance, a couple of starts back. It's got a rebound today. Was that distance 4th at 7. And Lady Player, as you mentioned, Gustavo Amaya, Leonel Reyes going to team up to handle what? The added distance seems like the current the theme throughout today's card.
I'm thinking with the Vita Tropical for Chuck Simon, the Oxbow Conquistador Cielo that this one's got on the female side, that's going to help. I think this horse with that early speed is going to be very tough to reel in, and does have the better post of one of her key rivals who also has speed. 4th race, again, it's about the late pick 5. We don't have a carryover after it was basically Chalk City here the last day we raced on Sunday, but we do. This is all about beginnings, per se, in Wednesday's 4th. Start of the late pick 5 and our first turf race on the afternoon, the first of 3, in fact, and I'm 3 deep to begin things. The 6th race, Ronnie already talked about the very in-form and tough to beat, at least on paper, number 7, Blue Loot. There is my single in a $18 late pick 5. I mean, that horse is just going to be a monstrous favorite there. We do have some disagreements. I'm looking forward to a fast pace in the 5th. Hope I'm right there. And I still think Blind Ruckus, who I picked on top, has enough proven ability to win that condition for $16,000. However, Ronnie, the 7th race is all about Belle Tapisserie, but in a way, Conquest Big E from the rail is the other major key going in. Does he run hard enough and fast enough where perhaps Bel Tapissiere just has to do a little too much on the engine?
Well, as you know, I've been a fan of Bel Tapissiere, but you notice I did not single that horse. I think that for that reason, maybe this horse doesn't, perform its best, gets looked in the eye by Concourse Big E on the inside. We'll see what Concourse Big E on the inside, see what happens.
All right, fourth race anyway. Opening turf race after scratches, and you can count them, 1, 2, 3. We had a couple of defections in the fourth, another defection in race 6, and as of now, just 3 scratches on the card. So Pete Aiello, who often bears, I mean, he does a great job, and there's some lengthy days and some big fields, but Pete can put his feet up when he's doing the scratches and changes on this Wednesday here at GPW. So 8 ready to roll here in race number 4, and you are taking a horse in the middle of the pack. I see Ronnie in the number 7, Silent Sophia, as we see trainer Troy Wimser teaming up there with Sammy Camacho.
Yeah, you mentioned those 2 scratches. The one along the trail was my long shot this afternoon. So moved up number 7, Silent Sophia, debuting for Troy. After a pair of solid turf outings at Indiana Ground, which includes that $10,000 claiming victory at this mile in the 16 distance, a couple of starts back, you're getting Sammy Camacho. Just thought that would be the logical choice in there, for me at least, Silent Sophia.
Got a couple of trainer changes I am very much interested in today, and that's not to say and this horse is a bit of a stab, who's going to need to get back to one of her better races, if not fire the best effort of her career. And it's nothing against the previous trainer, because Stanley Gold, top class all the way. But I just thought it was interesting that the 2 draft was first time for Arundel still, but first time Oscar Gonzalez this afternoon. And sometimes a layoff, a little bit of a change of scenery can do wonders for a horse. I know Oscar has made, through winning and consistently being good, he's made some fans, and obviously has picked up 3 or 4 horses thus far for Arundel. I was talking to Brian Cohen a few days ago.
Now, we'll see how that horse runs there. I got about further down my ticket. I did use the number 5, Venezuelan Forever. Stepping up to the next level. First start since drawing clear to defeat 10-2 lifetime claimers at the distance back on August 12th. Safi Joseph Jr., Paco Lopez. I said, wait a minute, let me check that out. They're 6 for 13 together, 46%, in 2017-18. The reason I looked it up, I don't remember Paco riding that much for Safi Joseph Jr., so I find that a little bit interesting. You got a horse that's a logical contender in second on the ticket, and I added number 9, SS Illuminati, after my long shot along the rail was scratched.
All right, Paco.
Along the trail, excuse me.
Along the trail, right, from the inside post. What would have been an inside draw for Along the Trail, as we, on our little trail here, have tried to come up with some winners moving to Wednesday's 5th race. And just noting, Paco Lopez, less than a week ago, won his first ever Breeders' Cup race in the BC Sprint with Roy H., and it took him all of about 57, 58 seconds to get back into the winner's circle here at Gulfstream Park West, and he's got a busy day ahead of him. In fact, you and I both have Paco's horse in this upcoming 5th race, a 2 lifetime claimer on the dirt. We have his horse, the 4, Royalty Salvatore, in the mix there for trainer Elizabeth Dobles. However, real fast music, some girl power here. You got Kathleen O'Connell on top of your ticket.
Well, turning back to 3/4 of a mile after setting a pressured pace, weakly late to finish 4th, going 7 furlongs. You know his biggest challenge certainly going to come from Royalty Salvatore today. You got leading jock Edgard Zayas riding the 2-horse Real Fast Music. You got Paco on Royalty Salvatore. I'm waiting for these 2 to hook up again.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, speaking of hooking up, you've got Seatbelt on the Rail, Trio of Champions, Ronnie's horse Real Fast Music isn't all that slow. Paco's aggressive with the 4, Royalty Salvatore. I see almost like a 95 north trying to get home during rush hour here in glorious South Florida. I see a crowded scenario strides out of the gate. I'm hoping to an extent that helps the 7, Blind Ruckus, who I've got a little bit of a thing for, and I'm glad he showed some life last time out. And my top pick, the 5, Mr. Morning Star, who's been consistent. He really has run well, this horse, and I like that they're properly spotting him first time against winners. And how about the rider change? Again, peace and love here. It's a big move up to Hector Berrios this afternoon.
Yeah, Hector Berrios riding in great form. So a logical contender on there. I like the price. You're going to get a little bit of a price with that horse, so that's real good. And that is the number 5 horse in race number 5.
So disagreements between Ronnie and myself abound there in race number 5, but not the case as we move on to this Florida-bred 6th race this afternoon. A non-winner's a 1 option optional claimer on the turf at a race that has a very sharp and a solid claim thus far for trainer Mike Maker, who's coming in off a real determined and resolute victory a few weeks ago last month at Keeneland Racecourse. And here's the race from the number 7 Blue Loot, who there were numerous times, and this horse didn't save any ground. Big strapping gray colt by Midnight Loot was hung out 3-4 wide, kind of just tracking the pace. Tyler Gaffalione, does he look familiar? Because he's on the back of this colt, who's a 2-time winner. And like I was saying, I watched this, and he starts to shy in and drift in just a bit. It looked like he might be in deep water a couple of different times throughout the deep stretch portion of this race, but in a resolute victory, held everybody safe. And this just strikes me of Maker couple of months ago saying, hey, let's potentially claim some horses for the claiming crown. And thus far, Blue Loot is obviously, you didn't have to wait for the claiming crown. This horse has been really good.
Yeah, been really good. Got back-to-back victories, and he was a big horse. You could see him to stretch. He looked twice the size as everybody else. Want to show you stat on Mr. Mike Maker, domestic shippers into Gulfstream Park West on the turf. He's 20 for 59, 34%, 71% of the money, 359 return investment. How does a good return investment? This is the angle that everybody's looking at all the time, and I just thought this horse off its form. You saw both Jason and I singled Blue Loot on our ticket. I got Salsa Jack on there and the 3 Ambassador Jim backing up Blue Loot today.
And that Maker stat has already picked up 3 winners, additional winners in that sample size this meet alone. So clearly these horses have shipped into Miami Gardens ready for business for one of the best turf trainers in the country, who runs a lot of horses and has a pretty big operation. Let's move on to race number 7. This gets the quote-unquote featured Miami Gardens spotlight on day number 27 of the fall meet. And a good field here in this high-level allowance optional claimer and our last dirt race on the card. And boy, the dirt racing today really ends in style. And look, style has really been a part of the 5 Bel Tapisseries game for trainer Jaime Mejia. I'd say there's not a shadow of a doubt this is the best horse, and it's not even close in Mejia's operation. And this son of Tapizar shows up, strikes when the iron is hot, and was solid last time out, beating a horse that I like quite a bit in the Scotsman for trainer Oscar Gonzalez, who was bias compromised in his last race here Sunday. Good speed, sharp effort off the layoff with 2 races under his belt. He's just the horse they're going to have to get around.
And you're right about this last race. That was a really competitive $16,000 optional claimer. And I just thought this horse ran exceptionally well. And like we said, is there another one left like this in the tank? Is it going to get hooked in the speed duel with the inside horse, Conquest Big E? That's what you got to figure out. And that's why I couldn't single this horse. I also used on my ticket the number 2, Take Your Place, who you have on top of your ticket.
Who's dangerous because he not only is consistently good, and he returned, and no one was beating Quixote, who had some back class and ran to it for Sally Mitchell-Hill back on October 7th, but sucking up for second, now switching over to the leading rider, Edgar Zayas, and I don't see Conquest Big E from the rail with Paco not affecting Bel Tapisserie, at least negatively. He may overcome it, and he may have to run hard every step of the way and prove he's this good. But, boy, I think it's going to be a tall order for him. And I think Take Your Place is just the logical finisher of the race, Ronnie.
Boy, that Conquest Big E, I liked that horse a little while back. The wheels certainly have come off. Maybe he bounces back. He's got that little bit of back class.
I mean, watching him last Florida Derby Day win the Gulfstream Park Hardacre Mile, I know Always Dreaming, the Florida Derby and Kentucky Derby winner from the previous spring, didn't come back. But, I mean, he drilled that horse. And I remember thinking at the time, wow, you know, Donna Green Hertak may have herself a Met Mile type horse. But since then, very, very enigmatic, I think is the right word. Do you think he could show up, though, with an okay race today?
You keep expecting him. If they get things right with this horse, he can be very, very dangerous. And if you get in a price, maybe it's worth a couple of bucks on this horse, and you're getting Paco. So that certainly adds to the appeal and the inside post.
All right, moving on to the 8th, another key rematch. In fact, in terms of numbers, this upcoming 8th race finale, which is a 2-lifetime Filly Mare turf claimer at a Iona 16th, considering 5 horses are coming out of the same race just a couple of weeks ago on October 21st right here at GPW, this might be, again, as far as numbers go, the biggest rematch on the card. The 5 Bridge of Sighs is almost an automatic pick and play for me, Ronnie, because of the trainer change this afternoon to Juan Arriagada, who we've talked a lot about over the last few months. Really did a good job, I thought, spending his first summer over in Hallandale, and he's picked up a few winners thus far this meet. And just to note, this horse a private buy as well off that last race when he was owned by Roy Lerman.
Yeah, I have him on my ticket for all the reasons you mentioned, but I did go with a horse in the inside who's 10-1 on the morning line, and that's Gia Leah Joe, stepping up to face winners after leading every step of the way to defeat 10 maidens at a mile. Inside speed, always an interesting proposition here on this turf course. Taking a little bit of a shot, show you stat on Fernando Abreu, winner last out, claimers on the turf. He's only 11%, 43% in the money, but I was just enamored with this horse's speed. He got bridge of size and inside trip on my ticket too, and as you saw in my Rainbow Six a little earlier, went 4 deep in there, but also the number 10, Soldier's Pride. Just thought it was a wide open race, and Gia Leah Joe, not sold this horse can lead him gate to wire, but wanted to put that one on my ticket.
So a little coverage, a little protection there for Ronnie in the back end of today's $20,000 plus Rainbow Six carryover. As we start a new week, we've got, what, 32 minutes on the clock? A little more, perhaps, 35, 36 before they spring that latch. And those 1 mile races on the main, my friend, very popular starting things out.
Yeah, the distance du jour today.
Absolutely, as we have our track announcer du jour, who again, Pete, take it slow and easy during the scratches and changes. We'll get you in the game before the first. Not many to go on today, and Pete's coming your way in just a few moments.
One of the world's most anticipated thoroughbred racing events of the year returns. The 3rd annual Pegasus World Cup Invitational at Gulfstream Park in South Florida. Drawing competition from around the world with a $16 million purse split between 2 Grade 1 races. On the dirt and on the turf. Experience the incredible fashion, spectacular world-class service and entertainment, and the unrivaled adrenaline of the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. Saturday, January 26th at Gulfstream Park. Get your tickets now at PegasusWorldCup.com.